But imagine if we treated physical health the same way. Imagine ignoring chest pain for years, then rushing someone into surgery and calling that healthcare. It would make no sense. Yet, this is exactly how many of our mental health systems operate. Healing often begins long before treatment. It begins the moment someone feels less alone. Who around you has been unusually quiet? Who stopped showing up? A few years ago, I witnessed something I still haven't been able to forget. I saw a young man chained outside his home, not in a documentary, not in an old history book, in real life. I asked his family what had happened. They looked exhausted. One person quietly said, "He has mental health problems." Another added, "We are afraid he might hurt someone." Then came the sentence that stayed with me ever since: "We can't afford hospital care." I walked away with so many emotions: sadness, confusion, anger, but mostly questions. A few days later, I visited a mental health hospital. As I stood there talking with a clinician, a woman arrived in handcuffs. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't attacking anyone. She was simply speaking to herself. Yet, the moment she entered, the entire hospital became silent. People stopped walking. Heads turned. Everyone stared. I remember feeling uncomfortable, not because of her, but I was wondering. I even had to ask the doctor beside me, "Are we still doing this?" They said, "What other options do we have?" I didn't answer because I didn't know. Years later, I found myself in a hot discussion about alternatives to coercion with lawyers, clinicians, and mental health professionals. The room became divided. Some believed restraint should never happen, while others believed sometimes there are no alternatives to save a life. The discussion ended without agreement. But as I left that room, I realized something. Maybe we have been asking the wrong question. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Smile. My name is Dr. Michelle Nicole. I am your public mental health doctor. And before we continue, I would love for you to like and share so that it can reach many people who might be needing this. And most importantly, subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. Most of us think mental health care begins at the point of crisis, when someone attempts suicide, when someone becomes aggressive, when someone is admitted to the hospital, or when someone can no longer function. That's when society finally pays attention. But imagine if we treated physical health the same way. Imagine ignoring chest pain for years, then rushing someone into surgery and calling that healthcare. It would make no sense. Yet, this is exactly how many of our mental health systems operate. We wait, we overlook, we dismiss, we tell people they are strong. We tell them to pray more. We tell them to snap out of it. We tell them they are overthinking. Eventually, their world begins falling apart. Then we say, something happened. No, something had been happening all along. The crisis wasn't the beginning. It was the moment everyone else finally noticed. I often tell people, mental health crises rarely arrive without warning. The warnings are simply quieter than the crisis. They are hidden in withdrawal, in irritability, in exhaustion, in hopelessness, in silence, in people saying, "I'm just tired, I'm okay, don't worry about me." Sometimes the loudest cry for help is someone pretending everything is fine. Here is what I think we have forgotten. Human beings were never designed to carry life alone. Every culture has understood this. Villages, communities, families, and neighbors. People survived because someone noticed. Today, we live more connected digitally than ever before. Yet, emotionally, many people are completely alone. One of the biggest myths I hear is, "I don't trust people." I understand. Not everyone is safe. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest wounds. But here is the mistake. Many people confuse not trusting everyone with needing no one. Those are not the same thing. Support isn't about finding perfect people. It's about allowing safe people to walk beside you. Sometimes support is a therapist. Sometimes it's a sibling. Sometimes it's a colleague who asks, "You have been quiet lately. Are you okay?" Sometimes it's the neighbor who simply notices you have disappeared. And sometimes it's someone you have never met before who listens without judgment. Healing often begins long before treatment. It begins the moment someone feels less alone. I have seen people transformed not because someone solved all their problems, but because someone stayed. Someone listened. Someone refused to look away. The opposite of isolation isn't popularity, it's connection. And connection saves lives. So today, I want to leave you with one question. Who around you has been unusually quiet? Who stopped showing up? Who keeps saying, "I'm fine," but doesn't quite seem themselves? You don't need to diagnose them. You don't need to fix them. You don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes all you need to do is notice. Reach out, listen, and stay present. And if you are the one struggling, please remember this. You don't have to trust everyone. But don't let that stop you from accepting support from someone safe. Because carrying everything alone isn't strength. It's a burden no human being was meant to carry forever. Mental health care doesn't begin inside a hospital. It begins in conversations. It begins in communities. It begins when someone notices. It begins when someone stays. And perhaps that's what we have been missing all along. Remember, behind every mental health crisis is a story that began long before anyone called it a crisis. Maybe the greatest difference we can make isn't becoming better at responding to emergencies. Maybe it's becoming the kind of people who notice the struggle before it becomes one. Until next time, keep looking beyond